This is Frank Mandolini, and this is the Last Minute Wrestling Podcast. Hello everybody and welcome to episode number 39 of the Last Minute Wrestling Podcast. As always, I am your host from Italy, Frank Mandolini, and today we have our first ever guest coming from the great country of Finland. I'm talking about the Finnish independent wrestler now residing in the United States, Mikko Maestro. Before we go to the interview with Mikko, I must remind you that today's episode is presented by State Bags. State Bags makes beautiful, well-made, inclusively cool products while using the power of business to give back to shift the narrative around social injustice. For every State Bag purchased, State hand delivers a backpack packed with essential tools for success to an American child in need. But their commitment goes beyond simply a material donation. State Bag has your bag. And part of that commitment is making a difference in local kids' lives. To get you ready for your commute or wherever you are traveling next, State is offering our Last Minute Wrestling Podcast listeners 15% off their next purchase at statebags.com using the code POD. That's 15 off your next purchase. The code is POD at statebags.com. State Bags, they have your back. Also, over the last couple of weeks, you may have noticed my friend Tristan from the Tristan Lowe Show came to say hi and to introduce himself, so why the hell not doing this again? Take it away from here, Tristan.
Are you listening?
Hi, I'm Tristan, host of the Tristan Law Show, and you can listen to my podcast where you currently enjoy this one and at tristanlawshow.com. The unique part about the Tristan Law Show is I introduce you to the personalities in and out of the pro wrestling ring. And you don't have to be a pro wrestling fan to enjoy my podcast. Don't believe me? Well, after you finish listening to my pod brother, Frank Mandolini's Last Minute Wrestling Podcast, search for and listen to the Tristan Law Show. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll be waiting for you. Enjoy the episode.
Thank you, Tristan. I remind everybody who's listening that you can find the LMW podcast on our home website, which is lmwpodcast.com, all over the interwebs, on our social networks. They are all LMW Podcast, but please follow us on Twitter. We are way better on there. And you can donate a little bit of money, baby, because wouldn't you want to make Frank Mandolini rich? Yeah, I knew that you wanted exactly that. So you can donate a little bit on PayPal, paypal.me/LMWpodcast. Ko-fi, ko-fi.com/LMWpodcast, or become a €3 Patreon backer or above on the good old patreon.com/LMWpodcast. Now, stop with all of this self-promoting and we go straight to the chat with Mikko Maestro. Hi Mikko, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. Just waking up. It's 6:30 here in Portland, Oregon.
Yeah, thank you so much for doing this at this weird time in the morning for you. But we had such a different schedule. We couldn't do that at any better time, apparently. So
Yeah, no worries. Thank you for having me on the podcast. You know, it's always the hassle with the time difference, I know, and I'm very happy to be here. Excited about it and glad we made it work.
yeah, you're my first guest from Finland. I had the chance to talk with people from Sweden and Denmark so far, but never Finland. And I heard so many great things about Finnish wrestling. So it would be. I think just after I started this podcast a few months ago, your name was one of the first one that came on my timeline because I'm trying my best to discover things about European wrestling which I may not know, and since I come from Italy, which is a place where we don't have that much wrestling scene, as you of course, may know already. And I saw that there is a match that you're involved from FCF Wrestling that has like a 12,000 views on YouTube or something like that. And I was like, whoa, is there any wrestling in Finland? Okay, I want to know that. I want to talk with that dude. So tell me a little bit about your career, about how you started wrestling and training in Finland, and now that you're in the United States. So how is this going?
So I started about 10 years ago, training back in summer 2010, and I had my first match in 2011. I think it was on April 2011. I keep forgetting the date. It's like April 5th or so, but it doesn't really matter. Early the 2011, I had my first match. My first match was we had this Spring Rumble thing going on, kind of like Royal Rumble from WWE, and I was there, and a week or two later, I wrestled my first singles match. So in Finland for a long time, in the whole country, there's only one wrestling ring and about 20 wrestlers. So it was like we didn't have much wrestling going on. A couple of years ago, another promotion started, so it's picking up, But we do a lot of talent exchange. We have wrestlers coming from Sweden, Norway, and Denmark, and sometimes from Italy. We had wrestlers from a company called Italian Championship Wrestling, ICW. Yes. I don't know if you heard about Queen Maya. She's about
tall as me. Queen Maya. Yeah.
I actually saw her recently when I was wrestling in Switzerland like a year ago or so. So glad to see that she's doing fine. But yeah, so we're doing talent exchange, mainly flying I think Swedish talent, I would say, was the most common people you would see. And we would go to wrestle in Sweden. I had opportunity to wrestle in Denmark and Germany and just travel all over. I was trained by a veteran called Starbuck, who I'm actually wrestling on that video that you were talking about. He's trained me. So and he was trained by Lance Storm, that you might have heard from. He was on ECW, WCW,
of course,
WWE. So yeah, so he trained us. He trained pretty much all the wrestlers in Finland. He started doing that in 2003. So that's when you can see wrestling. When wrestling started in Finland was in 2003. We had the first tryouts and first people coming in, and I went to see my first Finnish wrestling show back in 2005. So I've been following the scene since that, and when I turned 18, I quit basketball and started doing pro wrestling. So I was playing basketball for 10 years before that. So in the States, right now, unfortunately, all the events are cancelled because of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yeah, of course.
So I had my last match here in late February, and ever since, everything's been pretty much off, and we've been waiting for the shows to come back. Mainly, we've been waiting for the virus to go away. And then the shows might come back. And actually, this weekend, I'm supposed to return to the ring. I unfortunately can't say more details about the promotion or what's the deal, because the show is not streamed live, but I'm participating on this empty arena show when there's no audience whatsoever. So everybody follow me on social media. I'll be keeping you up to date. But it's supposed to happen this Saturday. Very excited about it. So I haven't wrestled for has been almost 8 months now. Oh man, it's the biggest gap I had in my whole wrestling career so far. So very excited about that. Yeah.
Do you feel you have any ring rust?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it's gonna be rough, but I'm very excited about it. Yeah, it's also like a 9-hour drive to the venue, so it's gonna be a long day. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, definitely. And how long have you been in the United States now?
Here, I've been for about a year now in Oregon. Okay. I wrestled mainly in two promotions called WCWC. It's a West Coast Wrestling Connection that is located in Salem, Oregon, and BCW, Blue Collar Wrestling, that is here in Portland. And so WCWC runs their shows monthly, and BCW is actually on every Sunday. And they even started their own TV deal. We went to television on local cable channel in December, which is very exciting because I never in my career wrestled in a weekly television show. So so that's Yeah, I mean,
that's
it's a local channel, reaches a couple 100,000 people. It's not like nationwide or worldwide, but still, it's very exciting to be a part of TV production because there's not
yeah.
many wrestling promotions that do it.
Yeah, definitely. And I assume that you're at the moment the only wrestler from Finland located in the United States, or is there any other people from the FCF contingent coming to the United States, or is it just you?
Right now, it's just me, and there's a couple of wrestlers who have wrestled in. Because first time I came here was in 2015. I wrestled in San Francisco and Oakland, California, and then I traveled. I can't remember the places because it was like in the Bay Area, and I was booking like 7 different shows. But mainly it was supposed to be just Oakland and San Francisco. It's all in California. But
Okay.
when you go to like, I didn't even remember the names. It doesn't matter. But like it's been 5 years. So we had a couple other wrestlers who have wrestled in this promotion called Hood Slam that is located in Oakland, and that's where I actually had my wrestling debut. Not my wrestling debut, but my first match in the United States was in Hood Slam Wrestling. And so there's a couple more guys, one called Salmon Street, another one called Ioni, who made their American wrestling debuts in that same company. So we were kind of doing talent exchange. We had one of their wrestlers in Finland called Dark Sheik. Sheik was in Finland, and after that there's been 3 Finnish wrestlers wrestling there. So there is some, but not that much. Not any that I know of who would be living here, at least not from FCF, because there's only like 20 wrestlers, and I pretty much know everybody, all of them.
You know everybody.
Been there for a year now, yeah.
And do you come back often to Europe to wrestle?
Right now, I mean, like I've been here for a year. I've been here for a solid year, and I haven't been traveling. I haven't even visited Europe right now. I was planning to come there just to come to Europe. Might as well. That's where I'm from. And see how are things. And even that got cancelled. So it's like if I can't even visit there for vacation, I really don't know when I'm gonna go back there for wrestling. It's like, no, I have to say I don't come back to Finland. Not for business or vacation right now. And when this thing the pandemic goes over, we shall see. And hopefully I can travel there as much as I can. It's a rough flight though. I done it probably like 8 times in my life. It's like 12 hours, going to Sweden and then going to the States and then the jet lag, time difference. It's rough. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a rough trip, especially if you're in the West Coast as you are. It's a rough trip. Yeah, definitely. And there is a mandatory question I ask all of my European guests here. Have you ever wrestled in Italy? Do you know anything about Italian wrestling? Do you follow any Italian wrestling promotion? Is there any talent that you want to work with, for example?
Yeah, you probably heard the name Fabio Ferrari.
Yes.
I have met him a couple of times, and he's quite a character. I enjoy his company. I never wrestled him, so I would like to wrestle him one day. So he's a fantastic talent and just a nice guy to be around. And so mainly I know ICW, and I'm trying to remember, was it like SIC, SIW? I can't remember. Like we had some guys, from Finland coming to train. They had like training seminars in Italy, and I'd like to think that it's called SIW.
There is, there is one SIW, which I think it is for Scuola Italiana di Wrestling, which is Italian School of Wrestling, and there is IWA, Italian Wrestling Association, or Rising Sun. I don't know. The latest one is one of the like booming wrestling federation in Italy at the moment.
So, but then I remember like first time I actually heard of Italian wrestling when I was still a fan. Like it was probably around like 2005, 2006. My future wrestling coach was wrestling this company called Italian Wrestling Superstars that was run by El Dinamico and Italian Dream. So he was flying there to wrestle a couple times. So actually they had also Stark Adder and Heimo the Wild Man. So Italian Wrestling Superstars have had a bunch of Finnish wrestlers going over there.
Yeah.
But that's about it. I haven't wrestled in Italy myself, unfortunately, no.
Oh well, maybe in the future we get a chance to see you once the pandemic is over and you will be able to travel again back here in Europe.
Yeah, I'd love to be there. It's funny. I wrestled in Lugano. It's southern Switzerland, and I was surprised that people talk Italy over there. I didn't know much about Switzerland in general, but
They talk
it's
in
pretty
Italian
close. Yeah, it's not Italy, but it's pretty close. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty, and there are a lot of people from Italy that are living like on the border with Switzerland, and they travel and work in Switzerland because they get a much higher pay than they will get in Italy for the same exact job. So
Yeah.
there is also this thing.
It is interesting because Switzerland isn't part of the European Union, so it is kind of tricky. It's pretty much the same. Some people work. We're in border of Washington. You can go to Vancouver, Washington. It's just like an hour drive. So in Oregon we don't have sales tax. So when you buy something, you don't have to pay the tax for it. And in Washington they don't have income tax. There's people who live in Vancouver, so they work in Vancouver, and then they drive to do their shopping down here in Oregon. So yeah, it's like the same situation. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's the same. But listen, a few months ago, at the moment, I had a chance to talk with a Swedish talent called Ender Kara. I don't know if you know him. And he told me that the Finnish wrestling is fantastic. He loves everything about it. The federations, the venues that they play their shows and stuff like that. What is that makes it so fantastic, in your opinion?
I think there is a production value. It's just like the videos and sound and everything is tip top. The ring announcer is really good, so that's probably what catches his eye. First. I remember Ender Kara. He's like I think he's half Turkish. A Turkish Swedish wrestler, and he had been training in the New Japan dojo in Los Angeles. Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah, I think that's probably it. There's probably like other things too, like politics and whatever. But I really like the venue we had in Finland called Teatteri Forum, the Theater Forum, and it's like because the audience is in all the sides of the ring, and it's in the second floor. So it's kind of reminds me of the ballroom that they had on ECW.
Yeah.
So it's very
the Hammerstein ballroom. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they had the two screens like on top of the entrance, so that venue really worked for us. It looks very professional, and it's just in center. It's in downtown Helsinki, so it's such a good place for people to come to. So yeah, it's a fantastic wrestling venue.
Yeah, and that's the first time I've heard the word Helsinki pronounced this way. I always pronounced it wrong my entire life. I always said Helsinki, not Helsinki. Okay, thanks for teaching me that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you so much. Well, Finnish is a tricky language, let me tell you that. It's quite a difficult language. They say Italian is difficult as well, but I don't think as much as Finnish. So Helsinki, okay, I'll keep that in mind. Thank you so much. So, and what are your main influences in the ring? I mean, I saw you have on Pro Wrestling T-shirt something that really resembles Hulk Hogan as a logo with Mikko Mania and stuff like that.
So the Mikko Mania thing, it started as a joke. I was thinking about it, like Mikko Mania running wild, and like I think that's what everybody's been saying. It doesn't matter what your name. If your wrestling name's John Smith, you're gonna say John Mania running wild at some point of your career. It's just such a universal thing. And then I met this guy who draws like wrestling shirts and whatever, and so I was asking him like if he would be interested in making a logo for me. Thought about the details, and then he showed me like what it would look like. I was like, oh yeah, I think this would look good on a t-shirt and it would sell. And so far it's been selling, so might as well. So no, the Mikko Mania thing, I don't use it as promos or as a slogan or anything. It's more like as a joke or a parody,
Yeah.
And I found it funny, and I think that the artwork was just fantastic. So it's a nice t-shirt. But so the wrestling influences, definitely I watch a lot of like Hulk Hogan and Dusty Rhodes, and in general I just enjoy, late 80s and NWA and WWE, and also, I like the early 2000s WWF that a lot of people don't like, because they had like Doink the Clown and whatever. But like I enjoyed Razor Ramon. I thought he was just an absolutely fantastic talent, and I enjoy watching him and the way he's just talking and carrying his character over, because people might say that I'm a character-based wrestler, and I do have to agree on that with some degree, because for me it's all about the crowd connection, not that much about the moves, and that's why like I look up to guys like like Dusty. He ain't jumping moonsaults up on top rope, but he's just entertaining guy. I could watch him for hours. It's just something magical. And I'm not saying that I'm like Dusty Rhodes by any means. It's like those big boots to feel, but just like for influence, that's where I get the bionic elbow from. For example.
And of course, when you have a wrestler that has such a charisma as Dusty, and can play with the psychology of the audience and stuff like that, can captivate an audience. You don't need to do like super flippy moves or stuff like that. So I have to agree that probably I enjoy my wrestling more based on that side. Like I'm more leaning towards the psychology as not on the super workmanship that sometimes we see like in places like New Japan or stuff like that. Even though I like their stuff, I like different stuff in wrestling. But yeah, psychology is something that has to be a key ingredient to me, at least. Yeah, I agree with that.
That's the one thing I like about wrestling, that it has variety. Yeah, like I don't think I would have had such a huge success in Finland, if I didn't do what I was doing, or if everybody else was doing what I was doing. That's because I was still 6'4" tall. I was the tallest wrestler over there, so I should be the guy doing the sidewalk slams, and big boots. And then we have other guys who are just like amazing physical talents, who actually can do 450 splash. I never done it in my whole life. Like I don't have the talent for that. So, and I'm glad that I don't have to do it, because you have another guy doing it. So that keeps the shows interesting. If everybody's the same, it gets stale pretty fast.
Yeah. And you said that you prefer like late 80s or early 90s stuff from as a wrestling era. And what about the current product? Do you follow anything? Is that anything that you like, or some shows that you would like to be involved with?
Oh, definitely. I'm trying to follow the All Elite Wrestling as much as I can. I think it's an interesting product, because nothing like this hasn't happened, for years. And unfortunately, right now I don't have cable, so I only get like bits and pieces, from YouTube and social media, whatever. Of course, I could bootleg it, but it's just not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
I mean, although I used to do it like in early 2000, I was a fan. I remember we had this thing called Kazaa. I don't know if you remember. Download videos. I used to download the stuff all the time. Like ECW and whatever I missed out. Yeah. So no, I also watch WWE as much as I can. The shows are just so long. That's the main problem. So usually like in morning time like this, I would put it on, and kind of watch it, while I'm eating and doing other stuff, trying to follow it, not really like watch it. But yeah, I try to follow the main products. Every now and then, watching the main indies when I hear something interesting, just like Google it and check it out. And if I really have time to sit down and enjoy what's wrestling, then I'll most likely watch some older stuff, just like because I can like concentrate on it and and just like see. The interesting thing is like now that I'm wrestling in States, when I watch the main leagues, because I know a couple of wrestlers from there, and that's what keeps me interesting to see like, hey, how they're doing, and hoping that they're fine, So that's like that's what I'm trying to hunt down always. Like when I hear something has happened, like somebody that I know of, and I'm like, okay, let's see how he's doing. Like a good friend of mine. I don't know if you know the Big Money Manny, Mansoor, because he got the deal when WWE went, to Saudi, and he's there. So every time I'm like, oh, like how's Manny doing? He's such a nice guy, and yeah.
So you had the chance to wrestle him?
Yeah, I wrestled him in the training hall 2015, when I came to the States for the first time. So I hadn't wrestled in a show with him, but I drove with him, on the shows even a couple of years ago. We used to go like East Bay Pro Wrestling, and I stayed over at his place, when I didn't have a place to go. So, it's, when you're on the road with the wrestlers, it's pretty fast to make, friendships if you guys click, because you spend so much time together. Like I might have known people from my class, like from school for years, and I don't keep in touch with them. But in wrestling, sometimes, you only met person like 8 times or so, but those are long days working together. So
Yeah. So you had the chance to connect and to create a bond with them.
Yeah,
Exactly. I see what you mean totally. And since now we have, we've been having for a few months now, a European-based WWE show, NXT UK. Did you have the chance to check that show, and would you be interested in taking part in that show representing Finland?
Oh, definitely. If somebody says from Europe that they want nothing to do with NXT UK, they're lying. The audience there, the money is there. Everybody wants to be part of it. It's so I'm not gonna lie to you. Of course, I want to be part of that show. Right now, I prefer the Florida NXT because of the traveling schedule. Like my whole life is here in the States. But I mainly watched. I'm so bad with names now. It's probably because it's early in the morning too, so I keep forgetting. I was like, what's this? There's this one guy that I used to follow. That's like I would tune in to watch him, but it's one of the UK guys from Progress who made it to NXT UK a couple of years ago. But like Flash Morgan,
Flash Morgan Webster.
Flash Morgan, So I like him. Yeah.
He had a terrific match just a few days ago against A Kid, which has been a guest on this show. So they two tore the house down totally in the first round of the Heritage Cup. They're amazing wrestlers.
Yeah.
So you follow him of that brand.
Yeah, mainly, that's the same thing, because back when he was Finland, he was staying at my place, and I went because he has like art degree from college, so I took him to museums and stuff like that. So it's like, it's when I'm watching him wrestle, it reminds me of those times, like, oh, what a nice guy, So yeah, it's stuff like that I enjoy. It's kind of like, I don't really play much video games, but if I do, I always have my Nintendo 64, for the childhood nostalgia, So that's kind of like the same thing. Especially because a lot of my friends now are living, still in Europe, and probably always will. So it's, I don't know, I'm just like a nostalgia guy, old school guy. That's the same thing. I like to watch, people that I've met and people that I know, I'm like, oh yeah, good times. So
yeah. So you follow their careers. That makes total sense. I mean,
and it's easy to follow guys like Manny or Flash Morgan because they're amazing talents too. So it's like win-win situation. So yeah.
Yeah. And what about you? What's the a match that is available online that we should go check about Mikko Maestro?
I think that one against me and Starbuck is really good because we wrestled, I think, 4 times in total. Of course, we used to go in training hall, head to head, for hours and days, but actually, like we had a really good one, like 30-minute Ironman match, but it's never been released online, so that's not out there. But yeah, you can find the one that you were talking about that was in Nosturi, Helsinki. Just I'm pretty sure because there's like 11,000 views, so it should come up really easily when you write Mikko Maestro on the Google search. There's other couple of good ones. I wrestled this guy called Ivan Marko from Russia. And there it's kind of like this David and Goliath kind of thing going on. Even though I'm taller than him, he's just this big, jacked up monster, so it's a different kind of match. As a spoiler alert, I get beaten up like 85% of the match, but still it's something different. It's old school. Yeah, and I recommend, if you like the kind of wrestling that I like, I'm sure you'll enjoy that one too. And so those are a couple of good ones that should come up in the search, probably in the first couple of videos.
Okay. I'll make sure to put a link in the description of this interview for people to check those out.
Thank you.
And what does the future hold for Mikko Maestro?
Oh yeah, like I said that this weekend I'm planning to come back to the ring. It seems so unreal right now, so I'm like I don't want to get my hopes up, but it seems like everything's done. I went to do my COVID-19 testing because we all had to get checked, beforehand.
Yeah.
So all good, negative. So no
Okay.
COVID-19 for Mikko
Perfect.
Maestro, and so yeah, that's the thing. I've been really enjoying doing these podcasts. So thank you for having me on your show. It's always interesting. It's good for me to look back on my career, like, oh, what's happened, what's been done, and going and just name dropping people that I know, like I said, like I sometimes do. There was like a lot of good stuff going on for this fall, but everything got cancelled and scrambled, And like right now, I'm trying not to leave my own state, I'm just trying to stay in Oregon as much as I can, just like waiting for the pandemic to be over. But people should follow me, like go check out my Instagram. It's at Mikko Mikko .maestro Miestro, or on Twitter at Mikko Meistro. Mikko Maestro. I can't spell this early in the morning. So it's just to keep in touch, because that's the thing. A lot of times there's things like this interview that's coming up, but before it's out there, I don't really mention it, So it's if you want to know what's up, you better be active. Go there.
Oh yeah.
Like and share the comments. Yeah.
Thanks for doing my job better than I will do to put this podcast over. Yeah, make sure to follow Mikko Maestro on every social media. Just one last quick question: how the name Maestro came to be?
Oh, it's my last name is pretty hard to spell. Like you said, Finnish language is hard. Because I thought about like using my own name as a wrestling name. I don't really know why I wanted that. Maybe because I was thinking if I get famous, like people who knew me from the past, be like, oh, that's Mikko from high school, and he's doing this and that, for whatever reason. But I kept the name Mikko, because that's what I've been called my whole life.
Yeah.
Then I had to figure out what would fit into the last name, and actually, I had classmates, these twin brothers who are half Italian. Their last name was Monaco, so I was thinking maybe I could wrestle as Mikko Monaco. I was thinking that could have a ring to it, but then I don't know. I was feeling weird of stealing my friend's last name. I never actually mentioned that to them, But then at one day I was thinking, what else? And I thought of Mikko Maestro, and I didn't like it. I was like, no, that's not for me. But then I just couldn't forget it. I just on my head, and then when it was time for my first match, and my coach asked if I had any name suggestions, because he usually chose the names for the wrestlers. Yeah. And I said Mikko Maestro, and he said, oh, that could work. So then it was announced Mikko Maestro is coming to FCF, and that's it basically. Because I was thinking, if I couldn't forget the name, then maybe there's some other people over there who also hear it once, and then it sticks in their head. And I was thinking that's the worst thing that happened, that I wrestle 8-hour match and nobody remembers who I was, and they're like, oh, who was that guy, like the tall, pale Finnish guy. So, that's pretty much it. Yeah, so I've been Mikko Maestro for 10 years now. Yeah, pretty much.
So, well, I guess that you may know what Maestro means, right?
Oh, it's funny. I was contacted by a teacher from Spain like years ago, like 8 years ago, and he was saying that it's kind of like a teacher, and then I was saying, well, that's convenient, because when I started, I had just like graduated high school, so I was going there bragging about my high school diploma, and that was like the whole skit that we did back then. So I was like, well, that's kind of what I'm doing, and I'm educating people there, and yeah.
That's totally that means teacher, actually. But it's also I don't know, I think about Diona Purazzo, for example. She's a half Italian as well, and her surname is the Virtuosa, which means that she has skills, basically. Basically, that was what that means. And of course, Maestro is, if you're a teacher, it means that you're very skilled in what you do as well. So that can be another key to read your name.
Yeah.
Well, Mikko, thank you so much. That was a lovely chat. Thanks for being so kind and personable to do that at this wee hours in the morning. Very important. and talk to you soon down the line, okay?
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to going back to your show. It's a very pleasant conversation.
Yeah, likewise. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much, Mikko, for coming on the Last Minute Wrestling podcast. I've been wanting to chat with him for a very long time now. Next week, we're gonna shake things up for episode number 40 because we're gonna have not 2 guests, but 2 hosts of the Last Minute Wrestling podcast. Yes, indeed. I'm talking about Callum and Jamie from Ringsiders podcast. They're gonna interview me, myself, Frank Mandolini. We're gonna have a great chat in what will be part 1 of a special series of episodes that will be called To Be Frank. Thank you for listening. Remember to leave a comment, like, share, subscribe, and spread the word. To make sure we keep our content going, you can buy us a coffee at ko-fi.com/forward-LMW podcast, become a Patreon backer at patreon.com/forward-LMW podcast, or donate at good old PayPal, paypal.me/forward-LMW podcast. You can find the Last Minute Wrestling podcast all over the platforms, on the official website, which is lmwpodcast.com, and on the portal bodyslam.net. Remember to follow us on Twitter at LMW Podcast and on Facebook at facebook.com/forward-LMW Podcast. I've been Frank Mandolini, and you stay safe.